Hi guys, this is my book review for Shadow Scale by Rachel Hartman, which is the sequel to Seraphina. Yes, oh my goodness, yay, it finally came out. So, yes, pretty book. So, read Seraphina first. It is the first book in the series. I will post the link to my book review of Seraphina below, so check that one out first. Basically, this is a world where dragons exist. They can take human form, and they have an uneasy peace with the humans. And the main character, Serafina, is half dragon, and the world is amazing. I love the use of music in this. So, yes, go check out Serafina. And this video will definitely contain spoilers for the first book, so go do that first. Bye! For those of you sticking around for Shadow Scale. So there's an uneasy peace in the first book, and the second book, they're about to break out into war. The dragons have split into two factions, one who wants to uphold the peace treaty and continue trying to work with the humans, and another one who wants to go back to the ways before the peace treaty and basically be at war with humans and eat them all, more or less. Serafina, the main character, is half dragon, and she's kind of caught in the middle. Not because she associates with the dragon so much, but because I guess she does. She wants peace between her two peoples, I guess. So the beginning of this book is 3 to 4 months after the end of Seraphina, and Serafina is basically spending this book going looking for the other half dragons. She has this mind garden where she sees avatars of the others, so she knows they're out there and she knows what they look like. She can have visions of them when she touches them in her mind and observe the actual person. So she's gonna go try to find them and talk to them and convince them to come back with her so that they can be together. She can have friends who are like her, but also so they can help stop the dragon war and at least protect the humans from the dragons, if nothing else. So she's also being sent by the queen. Griselda becomes the queen in this book, and so Griselda sends her off to do this under the guise of trying to gain support for Gorad. So she goes to the southern kingdom. So there's two. There's Nice, I think, Ninys, and the other one of Samson. And then there's also Porphyry, which is a trading thing that is kind of north of Gorad, but south of the dragon, so the middle ground. So she's going around trying to find all the other half-dragons, and all along the way we have Janula, who is another half-dragon who Seraphina has already had trouble with as a youngster. They've already had a clash, and Janella is trying to gain the other half-dragon's trust for herself. She keeps trying to tell Seraphina they're on the same side, but Seraphina's had really bad experiences with her in the past. She doesn't believe her, so they're kind of competing, I guess, doing the same goal but trying to get people on their own side, which is kind of weird. So yeah, that's pretty much the basic plot summary of this book. I liked seeing all the other countries in this book and getting to see the other societies and how they work, so the world got bigger, and I love that. And I love seeing the dragon life too. We get to see the dragons in their home territory a bit in one of their labs where the sensors are. So we get to see what dragons actually function like when they're not around humans in their actual dragon bodies. I also like the way it explores religion and faith, especially both the saints in southern kingdoms, but also in Porphyry they have their own religion based on the gods of chance and necessity and how they go together, but also how they need each other. So I liked that exploration of religion. Things I didn't like about this book is that we don't see much of Griselda and Kix at the beginning or the middle. It's not until the end when she gets back to Gorad, and even then they're not really present in this book, which kind of is a bummer because they are such a big part of Seraphina. The first book, especially her relationship with Kix, and then they kind of go to the background, existing yeah. So it's kind of a slow starting book, and there's a lot of traveling in it, which is not my favorite genre, so I was already struggling to get through the beginning of the book. And there's a lot of new characters and places, and so there's just so much going on, it was getting confusing, and I had to constantly be referring back to the glossary and the list of characters to figure out what was going on. And they renamed people too. So like she has names for everybody in her mind garden, and then she goes and meets them in the real world, and then they start taking the new names, the names that they actually have, and it was getting kind of confusing. And also she knows where they are based on visions she's had, but trying to keep them straight in my head was also kind of confusing. Like, where exactly are all these half dragons? Where are we going? So, yeah. On the whole, it was an okay book. I love the world of Seraphina, so I love seeing more of it. So that part was awesome, but it's also it wasn't as easy a read. There was a lot going on. It was complicated. So, it's like a 3 out of 5 stars. I would probably read it again, but not with like the devotion. Like, I will definitely be rereading Seraphina in the first book, and I'm not sure I'm gonna reread the second book, or I won't be rereading it as many times. Like, it's not that great. It's not as good as the first book. The first book is amazing, and this is kind of a letdown. I feel like maybe my expectations were too high for this book. Like, there was no way that was gonna match them, but yeah. So that is the end of my spoiler-free review. Yeah, so that's it if you want to go read the book. That's the basics. Check it out. Yeah, definitely check it out. I would read it once. Seraphina is so awesome, and it's definitely like ties up loose ends of that book, but okay. Spoilers beyond this point. So the Saints are half dragons, and I liked that point. I did, like, that was interesting, and the fact that this was the dragon's great mistake was this experiment they had where they were interbreeding, which Orma brought up in the first book, that like why wouldn't anybody have done this already? And we find out that yeah, they did do it. So I loved seeing that part. It was interesting. But then the ending there was a lot of Seraphina. Well, actually, the whole book, Seraphina is kind of second-guessing herself, and that wasn't a great thing to read. Like, this character that was so sure and like, I'm going to do this, and this is what is right, and we get to the second book, and she's not sure anymore, and it's kind of painful to watch, like, she's regressing, sort of. So it wasn't fantastic. And then everything magically gets fixed in the end. You have the giant saint come back, and everybody just stops what they're doing and is like, oh shit, we're done with this, we're done, nope, not messing with that. That's pretty much how the thing got solved. They're like, oh, screw this, we're out, nope, not worth it. So magically Janella gets picked up and is carried out of there. That's literally it. She just gets removed from the situation. Like, problem solved. Dragons are like, this ain't worth it. I'm not fighting. Nope, we're good. You guys win, basically. War's avoided. But it was also kind of this big cop-out, like, yeah. Not the ending I was expecting, not the ending we saw coming. It just happened, and it was kind of like, what? So Seraphina did help, and she unlocked her mind garden and figured out how to finally see the mind fire and become the most powerful of all the half-dragons. But that ending with Padre was just like, not fair. That was a cop-out. And then we have the relationships between Griselda, Kiggs, and Seraphina. And Griselda confessing her love to Seraphina came out of nowhere. Like, I kind of see it, having reached that realization. I can kind of see it in the other books, in this book and in the first book, but not, like, there wasn't definite. That wasn't a thing. That wasn't in my mind, that Griselda was in love with Seraphina. And then Seraphina has this revelation where she's like, oh, yeah. But we don't know what it is. So, does Seraphina love Griselda? Or does she love them both? Because she loves Kiggs, so is she in love with both Griselda and Kiggs? Or is she just like, oh, yeah, she's in love with me. Like, was that her realization? Or was her realization the fact that she can't marry Kiggs? Like, I don't know what that realization was, and it's confusing. Like, the whole ending of this book was a big what just happened. And what does that mean? And there's just a ton of loose ends at the end of this book. So not only that, I don't like the ending where Griselda and Kiggs get married anyway, even though they are both in love with Serafina, and Serafina decides to just go with it and live at the palace. And I don't understand if she's just Kiggs' mistress, or if she's Kiggs and Griselda's mistress, or maybe are they not even having any sex at all? Like, I don't know what's going on. And the ending I wanted for the Infernal Devices trilogy with Will and Jem and Tessa, so let's just go get a house together and be happy. But it's not the ending I wanted for these guys because they didn't have that same relationship. Like, it wasn't built up. You're not like, it just feels wrong somehow. I feel like Seraphina just did a lot of backtracking in this book. Like, she was so awesome in the first book, and the second book, she's just second-guessing herself, and all of a sudden, sure, why not, kind of thing. Like, she's just going with it at this point. Like, she doesn't care anymore, or just, I don't know. Like, what? And all these friends she made with all the other half-dragons, they all go home, which I kind of get, but we don't get any clue that she's, like, still communicating with them and stuff, so it feels like that's just what. And then we have Seraphina's family just kind of vanishes. Orma gets his memories wiped, but he may have created a mind pearl, so he might be able to get his memories back, but that isn't answered. And Seraphina's father and stepmother and step-siblings all just vanish completely out of this book. They aren't there. Like, what? Just so she's done with her family? Like, she's no longer connected to her father, who is the court lawyer? Like, I don't understand. Her dad was at court. They just don't have communications anymore. She's at court, he's at court. They're not talking. Like, I don't get to this ending. So this ending is, like, really, really unsatisfying. I don't like the ending. I want a different ending, or I want another book. This is not okay that this is a duology. Like, there needs to be a third book. Like, this last half of this book really needed to be split into 2 books. Like, need the first half being 1 book and the second half being the 3rd book, and they both need to be expanded and explained better because there's just way too much going on, way too fast, and no. No. The first, like, half of the book was okay. The middle part was getting better, like, would have been awesome, and then we get to the end, and I'm just like, no, not okay with it. Just, So, yeah. My overall review of the book is that it's not fabulous. That's why I gave it a 3. It was really the ending. It was just like, I don't know. It just, there needs to be more. That can't end that way. There's way too many loose ends. Like, that's not. It's not the ending Seraphina deserves. It's not the ending I want. So, yeah, that's my book review for Shadow Scale. Cheese. Yeah. Check it out, maybe. Or don't. Also equally a valid choice. But definitely read Seraphina, because this first book is amazing. Awesome. So, yeah. Bye, guys. I'm going to go drown myself in ice cream now. I need a lot of chocolate ice cream. Peace.